the way, the very first person to answer knew. Somehow he knew right away that it was going to be 22, and he was absolutely spot on. So let's learn a little bit about our runners. Titanium is from, I think that's the flag of Romania. Is that right? We're gonna have to have somebody confirm. Titanium, if you don't mind in the chat, let us know if that is in fact Romania. He's an electronics and mechanical engineer, and he is the number 5 seed. Titanium says Colombia. I apologize. Colombia. So Titanium, Tayfun says it. We are neighbors. Tayfun playing from Turkey today. Awesome. So Colombia. So Titanium, number 5 seed on that qualifying bracket that we saw earlier. Alessiino, number 12 qualifying seed, running SolidWorks from Canada, mechanical and industrial engineer. And maybe you could just fill us in a little bit on some of the fun facts about these runners while I get this match set up.
Yeah, so we've got Titanium, as stated, from Colombia. Been using Inventor since 2019. So as he said in the chat before, he's well familiar with its transgressions. But Titanium's been participating for 4 years in his university's biggest robotics group. Wow. So yeah, you'll have a diverse range of skills working in a robotics group. And he's obsessed with robotic arms, I would imagine. So if he's been doing that for 4 years. Electronics and mechanical engineer is Titanium. And yeah, we've got Alessiino, loves fighting. Everyone's having a bad time with the CAD programs at the moment. What's going on? You'd think they'd have them sorted out by now, wouldn't you? Yep. And he's worked on the development of Canadian-made electric bus. Oh, cool.
That
does
cool.
sound like an awesome project to be working on.
So some large assembly stuff in there for sure.
Yeah, there will be,
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, listen, we're gonna learn some more about these runners before we get into the next match. But I know this is the moment everyone's been waiting for. So let's go, Neil. You think you're ready?
I'm ready to go, mate. Yep, I've got my screen capture ready. I'm going to capture it as well.
I'm ready. If anybody's out there watching and you want to screen capture when this print comes up, you can do the same thing. We got Titanium from Colombia running Inventor. We got Alessiino from Canada running SolidWorks. This first CAD battle begins in 3, 2, 1, go. What is the mass of this part in XXXX grams? The tolerance on this part is plus or minus 2 grams, and the material is 1060 aluminum alloy. The density is listed there down in the title block. This is a tier 5 part. It's called Jack Bracket. This is a pretty cool part. I'm very excited to see these two runners do it. Looks like both of our runners have grabbed the screen capture and they are in the CAD. Let's flip over and take a look at this battle. We got Alessiino on the right. Looks like he's doing kind of the looking down from the top. We got Titanium on the left. He's got to get in there and change his units. Here we go. He's in there modeling it up. Fortunately, this is a tier 5 part, so there's enough features in this model that even if somebody falls behind a little bit, they're going to have a chance to get back in there. What do you think about this part, Neil?
This one isn't as tricky or naughty as I've seen you produce in the past, but that's the problem with you, Toby, is like when a part looks simple, now I'm just thinking, is there like a little kind of gotcha in here somewhere? But yeah, it looks comfortable for the first part, I would say. But yeah, Titanium, I think, got off to a bit of a bad start because he didn't have his template set up, so he had to go in there and mess about with his units before he got started, which has put him at a bit of a disadvantage.
Yep, and we see Aaron C in the chat saying, origin placement is important here. I'll say no more. Yeah, I think that is often the case when you're 3D modeling, is kind of making that decision on where the origin is going to go could really have some downstream ramifications.
Yeah, and another thing to look for as well when you start a model is any symmetrical points on the model where you can use planes and sort of mirrored features and patterns and stuff like that. So the fact that it is, I mean, there's some symmetry in there, but
this is one of my favorite moments in the tournament, is when we have a situation like this where we've got 2 CAD experts using 2 different CAD systems, and it's almost like they're mirroring the same sketch at the same time. Like you look left and right, and it's just like you're looking at the same thing. This is so cool.
Yeah, and this is the point where the contestants think, why is this taking me so long to do? If they were doing this just in their day job, they'd have finished it by now. But under the stress and pressure of a live speed modeling tournament, it's amazing what it can do to your brain. Simple things just suddenly elude you.
Yes, completely agree. And we got Amanda Santos in the chat says, Valete fun. Let's go. I like it. I like it. Mango Jelly says, I just screen captured the wrong monitor. Good start. Nice.
Yeah, they're pretty much neck and neck at the moment. Going pretty well.
Yeah, both users taking the approach of kind of looking at this thing and deciding to model it almost the way it would be mounted onto the platform. This thing is called jack stand, some kind of a stand for a jack, and both of them taking the approach where they're looking down on it from the top and kind of creating that triangular shape. But, you know, a model like this, when the model has symmetry, sometimes it's difficult to figure out where you're going to actually lock that part down to the origin and if symmetry is going to work for you or work against you. And I think we're seeing a little bit of both here.
Yeah, it's a classic example as well of how much do you cram into a single sketch? Do you do it feature by feature, or do you just whack as much as you can into one sketch? And I think that's the approach that Titanium's going for.
Yeah,
he's trying to put those holes in one sketch.
That's a discussion and a debate that we've had many times on this channel with different co-commentators. What's your preference as an experienced modeler? Do you go kind of keep it simple, you know, keep your individual features simple, or do you kind of put a bunch into one sketch as a layout almost?
No, always keep them simple.
Try to keep
always
it simple.
I try and do a sketch per feature. I think I made a video a few years ago on like the importance of a sketch per feature. It's arguable. I mean, people have got their preferences, and there is genuine arguments, valid arguments against doing that. But it helps in a lot of ways to keep it simple, not just for simplicity in terms of making it, but also like future-proofing any amendments to the model, so future people can open up the model like you've done. And if there's a feature tree full of features, single sketches, it's a lot easier to edit it in the future.
Yeah, I tend to agree, and I tend to keep it simple. There are definitely times when, you know, I've looked at some of these models and I've decided like I'm just going to kind of put everything together in one sketch. But the problem is when there's an error, it's so much more difficult to troubleshoot.
Yeah, sketches are really difficult to troubleshoot, especially when you've got dimensions, just the dimension soup on screen. And if it's somebody else's dimension soup, just forget it. It's like, where do you even begin? You know?
May as well just start over. Well, it looks like Alessiino on the right is making some good progress on this thing. Definitely drew first blood with that first feature being created, and now already getting into 3-4 features down the tree. But we've seen many times Inventor users do tend to have almost like a hidden weapon underneath that first sketch, and they are able to just quickly get in there and create multiple features, one after the other. So even though we see Alessiino has quite a few features on his model already, I wouldn't count Titanium out yet. And especially with a model that's this complicated, there's a lot that can go wrong.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rib through the middle. That looks like a bit of a gotcha. That might cause a bit of a hiccup later down the line. But yeah, I think this is the kind of model where if these guys were to model it offline in their own time, it wouldn't be too much of a challenge. But looking at it, thinking I've got to do this as fast as possible, I can see all the areas where you're going to get tripped up. I mean, even the ribs on the larger extrusion at the back, it's just little details like that which you think, oh no, I've still got to do that one.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's out there and ever wants to model some parts like this on their own time, you can visit the website www.tootalltoby.com/practice. I just dropped the URL here in the chat, and it's got a library of almost 70 models, 70 challenges like this, where you can go from a 2D print to a 3D model. You model against the clock. There's a validation field at the end to make sure that you got it right. So you can check that out if you haven't been there before, tootalltoby.com/practice. A lot of our users have done those models, have done all of them, and they are waiting for more to be released. And don't worry, those will be released very soon.
Yeah, someone in the chat just said the blue dimension soup.
Yes.
Yeah, spaghetti soup or something. Yeah, it's a familiar sight for anyone that's worked with CAD application in an office.
So very cool here to see Alessiino on the right working through this in SolidWorks. We also see on the left we've got Titanium working through this with Inventor. Looks like he may have some extra geometry sticking out of that hole. So I wonder how he's going to handle that. If he's going to does Inventor have any kind of like a delete face function?
It does, yeah. You can delete faces,
Okay,
heal them
good.
up afterwards, but you can often get undesirable, unexpected results with delete face. You get little voids and stuff floating around in space, which are quite difficult to see. So I'd prefer to avoid using delete face. It's sort of a last gasp, plan Z sort of a tool to use.
Yeah, so we here on the channel, we definitely have Aaron C in the chat. You can see Aaron C is a super fan of the channel. Says we need a delete face sound effect. Yeah, we here in the channel really love delete face. Whenever somebody uses delete face in the model, we get very, very excited. So if you happen to see the Inventor user or the Fusion 360 user pull a delete face move, make sure you let us know and we'll all celebrate.
What's the sound effect?
We don't have the sound effect yet. We need it.
Yeah, all right.
We need it, yeah. Delete face. I tried to create a delete face icon in Midjourney, but the results were very frightening. It was more like horror movie, like someone's face just not there. Definitely not what I was hoping for. Wow, look at this model from Alessiino on the right. He's already got that rib right down the middle. It was interesting that he cut out the bottom. I was worried that when he went to make the rib, he wouldn't have an end face to terminate it, but I think he just opted to do it as a regular extrusion. And now look, he's able to go through right from the top and add in some of those cuts. This is gonna be a pretty interesting conclusion here. We're gonna see if he missed anything or if he accomplished this and got all the features that he needed.
Yeah, I notice he's doing the holes as well, just the circles rather than actual hole wizards.
Yeah. Yep.
Can often be quicker to do. It's not something you wouldn't do in the real world. You need a proper hole feature, but
yeah,
need.
And we got Anthony Henry in the chat coming in with Canada $2. Can you tell Alessiino I love him? Yes, Anthony Henry loves you, Alessiino. Congratulations. Congratulations, that's awesome. We love seeing that kind of support here in the chat. So thank you so much for that. And look at on the left, Titanium going through and adding in those holes in just a matter of a few clicks. Wow, that was really impressive.
Yeah, he's come on quite a bit. He's slow start, but he's picking back up now. But
I gotta tell you, I see that so frequently with the Autodesk Inventor users. They seem like they're so far ahead, and I look over at the other screen, and then I look back, and it's like, oh, they're already almost done. Like there's something going on with kind of the methodology, the layout work that you do that really ends up paying off at the end, and it's so impressive. I've seen it from so many of the Inventor users.
Yeah, it's awesome to see he's using the proper rib command as well instead of trying to manually draw up that. That's going to save a lot of time.
Yeah, yep. And I like how he created that kind of lower rib across to set the foundation for that one. That was really clever. Already has all those holes, already has the counterbore, already has the countersink. We can see Alessiino on the right creating that countersink with a manual sketch, almost like he's going to do a cut revolve. We'll see. This might be one of these things where it's like, the best practice is when there's no pressure, but when the pressure kicks in, it's like, oh, panic, just brute force.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at it and I'm looking closer at the model, this is definitely one of your more tricky ones because this match is going on a lot longer than most of them do. So
yeah, so what we've done is we've implemented a tier system for complexity, not necessarily for difficulty because difficulty is a little more subjective, but for complexity based on the average number of features it would take a regular human to create the model. There's some people who try to jam everything into one sketch, and certainly if you took that approach, you could probably reduce that number of features. But just using a reasonable methodology, what's the average number of features it would take, and we use that to define the complexity. So this tier 5 model, this is a little bit on the higher scale here for our round of 16. Most of the models in the round of 16 have been tier 4 or tier 3. Occasionally we see a tier 5, and this just happened to be one here today. But that's how we kind of come up with our level of complexity. And I like seeing these little slightly more complex ones. Oh, we see Alessiino on the right going through and maybe coming up with a mess. We may see an answer coming in the chat. Let's keep an eye on it, everybody. Let's see what we come up with in the chat. Everybody's watching the chat now to see if Alessiino comes in. Here we go. He comes in with his answer. 1912.9 or 1913 grams. And that is correct. Congratulations to Alessiino getting that one correct, getting the first point here in this match. You've got to win 2 points to move on to the round of 8, but I got to say that was a great start. We see Titanium on the left, hot on his heels, almost done with that model. Putting a GG on the screen. What a sportsman. Thank you so much, Titanium, for being such a good sport. And it is not over yet. But guys, what a match. That was so awesome to watch. And let's put a GG in the chat for the winner. Good game to the winner. Good game to Alessiino. Getting that support from the chat from Antonia Henry. I don't think I'm saying that name right. I'm nailing it. X Area says GG. Melanie says GG. Jensen says, great work, guys. Yes, indeed. Well, guys, that was a pretty epic match, but it is not over yet. And so now we need to move on and consult the Wheel of Fate. And what do we think it's going to be this time?
I'm saying 19. Let's go for a solid 19.
Hey, I like that. Jern's saying